My stomach rumbled again as I quietly shut the door to the abbess's office. That was a big fat waste of my time. I took a quick peek behind me, and once I was secure that the coast was clear that way, I turned and headed for the kitchen. Maybe I'd be able to hoard a few extra days of rationings for the journey I'd have before me at the very least. I loved bread. Upon my first step down into the room that smells of the fresh-baked slices of God heaven, I knew that plan was going to be dashed all to hell. Aha! I knew you were bound to come searching for food after this morning. Sister Madeline's proud scoffing sounded far more like an enraged baker's wife than a kind nun. I froze with my foot on the stone floor and blinked like a deer caught at the wrong end of someone's bow and arrow just before the arrow was released. Sister Madeline came huffing and puffing around the corner and snatched up my wrist before I had a chance to escape. "I'm taking you to Mother Colette as soon as service ends," she hissed, tightening her grip as her dull brown eyes narrowed on my face. "You'll get what's coming to you. First for your insolence this morning, then for sneaking in here and trying to steal food." There was no use in trying to deny it. Her wickedly sharp nails bit into the flesh of my wrist, tightening until I was sure she would break the skin. "I caught you, little thief," she hissed into my face, spittle flying from her dry, cracked lips and hitting me in the face as she towered over me in her dark nun garb. "And I'll make sure you're punished this time." My lips turned down as she hauled me out of the kitchen, dragging me behind her. There was no doubt in my mind she would. Sister Madeline was perhaps the most violent nun I'd ever met, and I couldn't count the number of times she'd been all too happy to wallop me on my ass or across my knuckles for even the smallest transgression. Though there was nothing in my hands to proclaim me caught red-handed, missing evening service was good enough for a serious ass-whipping. Letting out a breath, I cursed myself for not being more observant. I must have missed her returning to the kitchen while I was in the abbess's office. At the very least, though, she hadn't caught me there. I didn't want to think what would have happened had I been caught trying to pilfer money rather than an extra loaf of bread. Hours, and one burning backside later, I crawled onto my cot next to Nellie's well after evening service had ended and released a deep groan. My belly continued to cramp with its emptiness, but that was the least of my concerns. I laid on my stomach to avoid any more touching of my back and ass. Mother Catherine hadn't gone easy. She never did. I buried my face into the stiff straw pillow in front of me and forced back a scream of frustration.